Welcome. Today we examine the chilling events of September 1982. An ordinary morning in Chicago was about to become the start of a national nightmare.
In the quiet suburbs of Elk Grove Village, the sun began to rise on a typical Wednesday. Inside one home, the morning routine was underway. A resident felt the onset of a minor cold and reached for a trusted bottle of medicine. The bathroom cabinet held the answer to their discomfort. Sitting on the shelf was a brand new bottle of extra-strength Tylenol, purchased just days before. It looked like any other bottle on the shelf. The seal was broken, and a single capsule was removed, seemingly identical to millions of others. A glass of water was filled from the tap. It was meant to bring relief, but it served only to wash down a lethal dose. Moments later, the house fell into a terrifying silence. The morning peace was shattered by the sound of a heavy, unexplained fall behind closed doors. Confusion turned to panic as the reality of the situation set in. A shattered glass and a spilled bottle marked the scene of a tragedy. Sirens soon tore through the quiet neighborhood. Emergency lights flooded the room, but the damage from the tainted capsule had already been done.
The mystery of the Tylenol murders was just beginning. Join us in the next chapter as the terror spreads. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Welcome back. Our investigation continues later that very same morning. Miles away, a 27-year-old postal worker unknowingly brought the phantom killer into his own home.
Adam Yanis, a hard-working United States postal employee, had taken the day off. He was experiencing minor chest pains and simply wanted to feel better. He drove to a local pharmacy in Arlington Heights. Among the aisles of everyday products, he unknowingly picked up a bottle rigged with deadly poison. Adam placed the brand new bottle of extra-strength Tylenol on the passenger seat of his car. He drove home, completely unaware of the ticking clock. Back in his comfortable living room, he set the red and white bottle down on the wooden coffee table, right next to his morning coffee. Just like the first victim, Adam broke the seal. He twisted off the white cap, poured out a single tainted capsule, and swallowed it down. The cyanide worked with terrifying speed. Dark coffee slowly soaked into the vintage living room rug. Just inches away, the open red and white pill bottle stood silently on the table.
Paramedics rushed through their emergency lights, flashing wildly through the suburban windows.
Adam was rushed to the nearby emergency room. Doctors worked frantically, but the lethal dose of cyanide had already... Tragically, Adam was pronounced dead. Doctors initially ruled it a massive natural heart attack, completely missing the poisoned capsules sitting quietly in his living room. The tragedy of Adam Yanis was only the beginning for his family. Stay tuned for the most heartbreaking chapter of this case. Subscribe for more.
The nightmare was about to double. That evening, the Janus family gathered to mourn Adam, unaware that the same poison was still sitting on their counter.
Friends and family filled the home in Arlington Heights. The atmosphere was thick with sorrow as they tried to make sense of Adam's sudden, mysterious passing. Adam's younger brother, Stanley, and his wife, Teresa, were overwhelmed by the stress. Both developed pounding headaches from the emotional toll of the day's tragedy.
Seeking simple relief, they reached for the same bottle Adam had used earlier that morning. It was a shared act of trust that would prove fatal.
Stanley and Teresa each took a capsule from the tainted bottle. Within minutes, the same invisible killer that took Adam struck again, twice in one room.
The horror was instantaneous.
The morning gathering turned into a scene of pure medical chaos. Two more young, healthy family members were now fighting for their lives in the same house. Paramedics arrived to a scene of absolute disbelief. They found themselves treating two victims simultaneously, while the family watched, and Stanley and Teresa were rushed to the hospital in critical condition. The doctors were baffled by the sudden cluster of deaths within a single grieving family. Testing would soon confirm the worst. The bottle was laced with enough cyanide to kill dozens. The Janus family had been targeted by a phantom poisoner.
3 deaths in one family changed the investigation forever. The search for the killer intensified as the death toll continued to rise. Subscribe for part 4. Welcome back. The terror didn't stop with the Janus family. The killer had already planted another deadly trap, this time in a busy workplace.
In Lombard, Illinois, 31-year-old Mary McFarland was at her job at the Illinois Bell Telephone Center. It was a normal, busy afternoon shift.
Mary, a hard-working mother of two, mentioned to her coworkers that she had a severe headache. She headed to the break room for some relief.
Inside her purse was a brand new bottle of extra-strength Tylenol. She had no idea she was holding the exact same poison terrorizing the suburbs.
Under the flickering fluorescent lights of the empty break room, she took out the bright red and white bottle, trusting it to cure her pain.
She untwisted the white cap and removed a single red and white capsule. A completely mundane action that would tragically and suddenly end her life.
Within moments of taking the pill, the deadly cyanide took effect. The quiet hum of the break room was broken by a sudden, heavy collapse. A spilled cup of water and a tipped-over chair were left behind. The red and white bottle remained on the beige table, completely untouched. Co-workers rushed in to find a terrifying scene. Paramedics were called immediately to the office, but the lethal dose had already done its work.
The workplace quickly became another grim crime scene. Police tape was strung across the break room doors as investigators...
Detectives didn't realize it yet, but this bottle was part of a coordinated attack. The phantom poisoner was striking across the entire Chicago area.
Mary McFarland never made it home to her two children. Join us next time as the public panic finally erupts. Don't forget to subscribe. Welcome back. The phantom killer continued to strike, moving from the workplace into the sacred privacy of a suburban family home.
Next, we go to Winfield, Illinois. 27-year-old Mary Reiner had just come home from the hospital after giving birth to her fourth child. It should have been a joyful time for the family, but a hidden poison was already waiting in their home, turning celebration into terror.
Mary was experiencing the normal aches and pains that come after childbirth. Her husband had recently purchased a new bottle of extra-strength Tylenol.
It was a brand new, factory-sealed bottle, purchased at a local drugstore. They trusted it implicitly to bring relief. In the comfort of her kitchen, Mary took a single capsule, a completely routine action with unimaginably horrifying consequences. Within minutes of swallowing the pill, Mary collapsed in front of her horrified family. The lethal cyanide struck instantly and without mercy.
Chaos and confusion erupted in the house. Family members desperately called emergency services, completely unaware that a poison was the cause.
Sirens soon wailed through the quiet neighborhood. Paramedics rushed in, but the massive dose of cyanide was insurmountable.
Detectives arrived to process the sixth scene. Mary Reiner was pronounced dead, marking the fifth victim of this invisible domestic terror. Investigators quickly located the newly opened Tylenol bottle. It would soon confirm that the killer had struck again, completely at random.
5 victims were now connected. The public panic was reaching its boiling point as the phantom poisoner remained at large. Subscribe for Scene 6.
Sometimes, objects hold memories. This uniform, these wings, they whisper tales of the golden age of flight.
Welcome back. The phantom poisoner claimed one final victim. This time, the chilling sequence of events was actually captured on a security camera.
35-year-old Paula Prince was a flight attendant for United Airlines. Exhausted after a long shift, she stopped for medicine on her way home.
She entered a local Chicago Walgreens on North Avenue. The bright neon lights illuminated the aisles where a deadly trap was already waiting. That grainy, black and white video remains one of the most haunting pieces of evidence. The killer had likely stood in that exact spot hours earlier.
Paula arrived at her city apartment and prepared for bed. Seeking relief from her travel fatigue, she opened the brand new bottle of painkillers.
She twisted off the white plastic cap. A single red and white capsule was taken, concealing the lethal dose of cyanide perfectly inside.
For 2 days, her apartment remained perfectly silent. Her flight attendant uniform sat draped over the couch while the deadly bottle sat open nearby.
When she failed to show up for her next flight, a concerned friend called the police. They forced entry and discovered the grim scene.
The final piece of the terrifying puzzle was found. Investigators secured the seventh scene, confirming that a serial poisoner was hunting the city.
7 innocent lives were lost, and a nationwide panic was about to explode. Welcome back. With 7 people dead, a terrifying realization swept the nation. The killer was still out there, and absolutely anyone could be next.
investigators realized the killer had meticulously visited multiple drugstores. A shadowy phantom had slipped the deadly bottles onto shelves and vanished without a single trace.
In an unprecedented move, Johnson & Johnson issued a nationwide recall. 31 million bottles of the medication were pulled from store shelves immediately. Mountains of recalled red and white bottles piled up in secure warehouses. Testing revealed even more poisoned capsules that had thankfully not yet been purchased. This sheer act of domestic terrorism changed the world forever. It forced the medical industry to completely rethink how over-the-counter products were safely packaged.
Because of these 7 tragedies, tamper-evident packaging was invented. The protective foil seals we see on...
Despite the massive investigation, the phantom poisoner was never identified. The trail went ice cold. Today, the 1982 Chicago Tylenol murders remain one of the most chilling, unsolved mysteries in America.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into true crime history. Who do you think the phantom poisoner was? Subscribe for more mysteries.